Hey, this is Lee Walcom. Today we want to talk a little bit of strategy on how you can rebuild your marriage. And let me tell you, this information is designed whether you are working on this by yourself or if you're working on this with your spouse. Either one will work, but there are differences in how you carry it out at the end, not what you do in the process. We want to talk about 3 powerful steps you can take in order to save your marriage. So first, let me go back to that idea of one person being able to make a difference. Let me tell you why I think that is. Many times people will say to me, oh, it takes 2 to tango. They are correct. If you're going to do a tango, it does work better if both people are dancing the tango. But how does it start? One person has to ask somebody else to dance. That's the beginning point. The other piece is somebody is leading that dance. And you can change the steps of the dance. That's the important thing about this. You can change how you go about that. Let me give you another way of thinking about that. It's a math equation. Remember back to math equations where you do something on one side of the equal sign, it has to happen on the other side of the equal sign. Whatever you do to change one side changes the other side, equal, equal. Well, that's true about this too. If you have had an equation of your marriage up until now, change one side of it and the other will change too. So what we're doing is talking about how do you change one side, or better, both sides at the same time. But how do you change it so that it readjusts? Let me give you another more practical, more direct reason why I think that one person can save their relationship. Because I see it on a daily basis. Over the last 3 decades, I've heard from person after person pretty much on a daily basis about how they have taken on the process and change things. So that's why I believe that only one person can do it. But let me tell you the power of 2 people working on it at the same time. That's pretty much unstoppable. So if both of you are working on it, that's great. And if you are, you both can be working on these 3 steps that I'm talking about and sharing it together. But if you're by yourself, it still works. So these 3 steps will help you to gain traction, to move forward, and you can work on them even if you're working on it by yourself. Okay, so let's get into these 3 steps. The first one is plot. Now, I don't mean the story plot, though I'm sure that's a very interesting story. I'm talking about plot where you want to get to. Think about it like you would if you were going on a trip. We've been traveling a bit lately, and whenever I want to start the trip, pull out my GPS and I have to type in the address of where I want to go. And then the GPS, whatever it does, recreates or creates a path for me, right? It's creating a path based on the plot, the place that I plot to. It's reverse engineering, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute a bit more, because you're reverse engineering how to get from where you are to where you want to get to, the plot. So how do you do that? I want you to spend some time writing down what you consider to be the marriage that you want. Describe it. Don't just kind of say, I want a happy marriage. What does it look like? How do you interact? How do you carry on your day-to-day life? What does it look like in particular? How do you feel? So I've talked about the fact that there are these various levels of a marriage, and this is where you want to be thinking about how each of those plays together. What do you want out of your future together? How do you want life to go? And you can think about that on those 3 levels of connection. Now, if you're not familiar with those 3 levels of connection, you can see the video that I've already done about 3 levels of connection so you can understand it. And so part of what we're talking about here is how would that just look? You can't get very far if you don't understand where you're trying to get to. Imagine that you've decided to go on vacation and you go, oh, just take me wherever. You may not end up anywhere you want to be. That's the important thing of saying, this is where I want to get to. As Alice in Wonderland found out from the Cheshire Cat, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So you got to decide where you're going to get to. So number 1, plot. Picking where you want to go. What does it look like? Describe it. Sit down and write out, this is my ideal marriage. This is what I want it to look like. This is how we'll interact. This is how we'll be. This is how life will go. If you build in your ideal day with your spouse, that will help you think through that, right? That's kind of the vision you have of your marriage. Okay, so number 2, after you've plotted, you have to plan. Almost everything that's going to make a difference in your life has to be based in a plan. Want to get in better shape? You better have a plan on what you're going to do to get there. If you just say, oh, I don't know, tomorrow I'll get up and I'll do something, it probably won't last long, probably won't get you anywhere specific, and it doesn't take into account what things you feel like you need to work on. If you just go, just be in better shape, probably it's better to say, I need to be in better shape in this way, in this way, in this way. If I want to eat better, what does it look like to eat better? If I want to de-stress better, what does it look like to do that? And sleep better, what does that look like? If I want to exercise more, what kind of exercise? What am I trying to get to? How am I trying to build that into my body, into my life? Anything in life has a plan. Imagine trying to build a house with no plans. What are you going to get? The plan helps you shape forward how you're going to move. So plan. In my opinion, the plan has 3 different pieces. And I actually, for my VIP members, I have a way for them to create their own specific plan. But I want to tell you very briefly about the parts that would fit into the plan. This is my 3 C's, right? The first one is connect. Talked about this in a video about connection, but how important it is to connect. You need to connect with your spouse because remember, most marriage problems start because somebody hit the pause button or both people hit the pause button. Talked about that in a video also. So connect with your spouse. It's really about reconnecting, rebuilding the connection that you lost along the way when you hit pause. So connect with your spouse. Those 3 different levels, physical, emotional, spiritual, that I talked about. That's what you want to talk about in your plan. How are you going to build the connections in from those 3 points? How are you going to also, and this is the second C, change yourself? I'm not saying anything's wrong with you, but we all have weak places. We all have deficits. We all have things that we can improve. We all have places that we have also hit pause in our own life that we need to unpause and get back to, or unpause and move toward. We have to make sure that we're truly showing up in life and being our best self. So that is our change yourself. And it can include some things, maybe psychological, self-expansion wise of therapy or coaching or something else, but it might be developing interests that you've had or finding new interest or finding your passion. What is your meaning and purpose? That's all in that change yourself piece. The third one is how do you create a path? Connect, change, create. Create a path to we. We are in this together. That's the kind of the essence of a marriage relationship. We're a team. We are an entity, right? And so part of what we're doing is not this mind meld, but 2 strong people joining together and moving forward in life. And so part of the need for that is for you to ask the question, how are you not doing that? Many people tell me that they don't think they can do that until their spouse has stepped in. I want to be very clear. Much of being a we happens in your thoughts that then roll out into your actions. So there are lots of places that you can move towards being a we, creating that path to we, and inviting your spouse onto that path. If you're both working on this together, look at the ways that you're not operating as a we. That will help you create a powerful path because here's the thing. When couples get to we, they are incredibly powerful as a couple. Almost indivisible as a couple. I've never seen a couple who made it to we lose their relationship. However, I've repeatedly seen people who never got to we, who never can restore their relationship. So that's an incredible important part of that plan. So, plan. Then there is the last piece, and it's a biggie, and that is proceed. And I don't mean get busy. I mean, you do need to get busy with the plan, but let me tell you what proceed really means. It's about finding your motivation for moving forward. It's about having your reason why. The reasons that matter. So what I want you to do is take out a piece of paper and write down all of your reasons why you want to save your marriage on it. And if you're working on this as a team, as the two of you, both of you need to look at this, because there's some that you may go, oh, I like that one, but I didn't think about it. If you're doing it by yourself, it's incredibly important, because you're going to need this when days get tough, when you're not making traction the way you want to, when you feel the pushback, when it's just getting to be a lot. You're going to need to be able to pull this out and go, that's why I'm doing this. Having a reason why will get you through those tough days over and over. Many times I've talked with people about this when they've taken difficult jobs. Have a reason why you're taking this job. Why does this matter? Because over time, it just becomes kind of the day-to-day stuff. But then they can pull that out and go, oh, that's why I'm doing this. That's why this matters to me. This is true in your marriage too. So that reason why, you're going to write down all of the reasons. I don't care how many it is. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 30, maybe it's 50. Doesn't matter. Just list them all down. And then I want you to notice something. There are 2 different types. First type, they are the I don't want. I don't want is things like, I don't want to lose access to the kids. I don't want to lose part of the house. I don't want to lose part of my retirement. I don't want to have to date again. I don't want to have to figure out what to tell the friends, or how to divide up friends, or who's going to be able to do what or where, or all those things. I don't want. That's one set. The other set are the I want. I want to break the multi-generational legacy of divorce in my family. I want to honor the commitment that we made. I want to prove to the kids that there's a way to move forward. I want to build a marriage that is warm, loving, whatever it is that you want it to be, right? I want. Now, why is it important to have those 2 down? The I don't wants are based in fear. Fear motivates us for a very short amount of time, and then we get used to it. It becomes the background noise. Doesn't motivate us anymore. You come up with ways of solving it, or you just kind of let it float to the background and it no longer motivates you. I want is much more powerful. That's our reasons why, right? The reasons why I do something. I want this. I want this to move forward. And the I wants, even on tough days, count. They matter. They motivate you. And so you have to have those reasons why. Those are those 3 big steps that you need to take. You need to have a plot where you want to go. You need to have a plan how you're going to do it. And you need to have a proceed, the reasons why you're doing it. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I just helped you create something else. Back in the 1980s and 90s, Charles Snyder created this hope equation. For a long time, people just said, oh, you have to have hope, but how do you get hope? How do you do that? How do you make that actionable? And so many times people go like, oh, this big old hope somewhere. I hope the world gets better. And then we lose hope, right? That's not what Charles Snyder worked on. He wanted to know how you can build hope. And so he discovered that there are 3 elements to hope. You have to have a goal. And you have to know where you want to get to. Whatever that goal is, you have to have a goal. Then you have to have the means. That's how you're going to get to that goal. And then you have to have the will. That means that you're actually willing to take the steps to get to the goal. So you have to have the goal, the steps to get there, and the willingness to proceed in that direction. What did we just do? You created that. Number 1, the plot. That's your goal. You have to have a place you want to get to. Number 2, you have to have the means. That is your plan. If you don't know how to make that actionable, hold on, I'm going to tell you how to get some help with that. Number 3, you have to have the will. That is proceed. That is the reasons why. And the will is not like I want to do that every day. It's the will to do that every day. I choose in that direction. So that's the pieces. We just created the way to have actionable hope of solving your marriage problems, all by having the plot, the plan, and the proceed, the how, the whys you would do it, the what, the how, the why. You have those three things, and you've created a path to save your marriage. Now, you may feel like you need more help with that. We have coaching resources. I have the Save the Marriage system to help you to get there. And so part of what I would suggest is if you don't know how to make this into something that works, come visit me at savethemarriage.com. That's savethemarriage.com. If you grab my system right now, join up for the free week of VIP. Now, sometimes that's not available because I have too many people in it, but the free week of VIP is, if it's available, join. Take advantage of that. Grab that way of making the plan. Grab all the other resources you can and begin to get those pieces together. And if you go ahead and grab the system now, at least while we have room, I will also include a get started mini session with one of my coaches to make sure that you really understand how to get going and get some of your questions answered in that process. So if that's what you need, come visit me at savethemarriage.com. That's savethemarriage.com. This is Lee Balcom wishing you the best as you work to save your marriage by plotting your course, planning your actions, and then proceeding because you know why you're doing it. Take care. See you next time.